Well, hello, that's me again. Today is August 16th, 2025. It is Saturday. Yeah, it is Saturday. So, and here's a little bit of the update for you. And everybody expects me to actually comment on the issue of the obviously historic in many respects it is meeting of Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin in Alaska in Anchorage, which I will provide a little bit, but you obviously can go out there and see for yourself. This it's not just media circus, it's the complete asylum of the political and media elites in the West. But what you see in the beginning, this is how superpowers are supposed to behave. These are F-35s, which are escorting Mr. Putin's aircraft. IL-96, in the United States it will be called Air Force One, and this is the only way it's supposed to be. And many people do not understand. They think that it's just merely the expression of the respect, highest respect, which it is. Make no mistake, it is. But it makes also very serious combat tactical sense, because in case of the attack on the big boss's airplane, those escorts are the ones who will take the hit. They will screen this aircraft, and that is why it also, buttresses, if you wish, or amplifies this issue of the profound respect. And that's how it's supposed to be between superpowers. I've been preaching this gospel, if you wish, for more than actually 2 decades, honestly. So, but you just know my work primarily through my blog for 11 years, but I've been on record for a long time now. And so as the result, you say why this has happened. Why, for example, we have already the heads of the Neocons and all those prostitutes in the West exploding. Well, here's one example. It's from Vzglad. You're not gonna see much of it now being paraded in the master media, but Kellogg's daughter was outraged by Putin reception in Alaska. The daughter of U.S. President Kit Kellogg's special envoy, Megan Mopes, said that U.S. military should not have met the Russian leader with honors. Well, she is a bimbo. She doesn't understand what honor guard is. There was no honor guard. But again, what do you expect from the daughter of the American loser general who wouldn't understand the first thing about real war or real combat? No, but here it is. So, and as Russians correctly state, that Keith Kellogg was not previously included in the delegation to participate in the summit. The guy is basically, used condom. He is a neocon. He's a butthurt, totally loser. That's what neocons are. And you can see yourself by all reactions of those people who are pathetic, really. I don't know how they live with themselves, parading themselves as the nincompoops, and essentially amateurs, military amateurs, those Keens, those Petreuses and what have you. So these are not serious people. That's why Russians laugh at them. And as Larry correctly, our dear friend Larry Johnson correctly stated, is, pretty much, you can see yourself. Where is Larry? Here is Larry, and you can go to Larry's blog and read this: that the Putin-Trump summit, a triumph for Putin, a disaster for the neocons. Agree, concur completely. So, and in this case, Larry, with typical Larry's sense of humor, if you're watching the US news channels, I put that word in italics to emphasize sarcasm. The build-up to press conference was the equivalent of a virgin waiting for his first sexual experience, which it was. And again, as I already stated, let me remind you something, okay? Let's go where it is. So, because I need to constantly, go through this collection of these snippets, so to speak. Here it is. This is Sky News from 2022. And this wasn't only Sky News. It was all over Western media. And here it is. So, Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly falls downstairs, soils himself amid growing concern about rapidly declining health. And as you can see yourself, this is Sky News, and this was all over the news. Well, for the families, because, you know, of all those journalists from United Kingdom and United States, whose families also, you know, their mothers and fathers, they constantly, you know, fall downstairs and soil themselves. And as the result, they never, you know what, brought up their children with any degree of humanity, honor, integrity. But then again, they are journalists, so basically prostitutes are higher above them in terms of the human integrity and, well, professionalism for that matter. But here it is. Remember 2022, December 3. This was the main thing which they were doing. It was about, look at this, how they explain it. And again, if you think that it's just Sky News, no. All of them, without exception, establishment media and UK tabloids. Russian President Vladimir Putin has fallen down several stairs, causing him to involuntarily defecate due to the cancer affecting his stomach and bowels, an anti-Kremlin Telegram channel has claimed. There you go. That's how those media work. You know how they work. We've been through this before. And they place some kind of, and this channel was called the General SVR. Yeah, we know, obviously, all acting generals of SVR, they just post in Telegram channels, right? So, and essentially they were basically planting some kind of the garbage, essentially, in somewhere Telegram sphere. And then, of course, yeah, like Solzhenitsyn. You know, Solzhenitsyn was a classic basically plant or shadow asset, because he wrote this garbage, I mean, about, well, Soviet history, essentially, and he was used like, and then was thrown out as the condom after they gave him this useless literature Nobel Prize. So, same here. You just designate some kind like Rybari, as I already told you, a bunch of other people, for example, so-called military correspondents in Russia, and you then defer to them, while in reality, those people are nobodies. They never served a day in uniform, they don't have military or intel backgrounds, but here we are. And that is why I can essentially create some kind of the fake Telegram channel and then start saying that, well, I don't know about any of those so-called journalists that they are, you know, fell down the stairs and soiled themselves. Can you imagine, like, saying Christiana Manpour fell down the stairs and soiled herself? Why not? I have the insights from some Telegram channel. This is what those media are. And as Maria Zakharova correctly stated, that, as you can see yourself, that Western media are in a state that can be called obsession bordering on complete madness. It's not bordering. They are completely mad. They don't have normal people working for them. Most of them are some kind of the genetic deviation. And for 3 years, they talked about Russia's isolation. And today they saw the red carpet that was rolled out to welcome the Russian president in the USA. Yeah, absolutely. If you take a look actually at the photos of, you know, Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin after, you know, their meeting, and of course, they were talking tete-a-tete in Mr. Trump's limo. They call it Beast, I believe. So as you can see, so very relaxed, and people heard the phrase that Putin said to Trump. I don't know how true it is, but yeah, we have to help you, you know, something like that. But the point is that it's all good, most of it anyway. However, you have to understand that everything what is going on here right now in media sphere, I don't want to go. You know what? It's like not poking the sewer with the 10-foot stick. No, it's like getting your hands into this sewer, this human garbage excrement. People who do not deserve even any kind of this human consideration in their lives because they have no honor. They don't have morals. They don't have anything. I mean, they are just merely just media animals. And so going there and reviewing it, it's of course important, but when you ask again, which I've been preaching for, again, second decade officially, and many of my friends, speak about it constantly. We speak in a different approach, under different angles, but pretty much the vectors are going towards the same point. And here is the issue. Let me remind you, when you ask me, well, what the hell is going on, why this meeting happened altogether, and we can go about the motivation of Trump for a long time, here it is. Let me remind you. Remember this? I was talking about this non-stop. This is called COFM. And this is by Lester Grau and Mr. Clint Rich. So, and Lester Grau is the cadre U.S. Army officer. He's a colonel. And so they wrote this. Remember? Russian tactical correlation of forces and means computation updated for modern equipment capabilities. The Russians calculated not only the tactical level, they obviously calculated on the operational and strategic level, and there is a lot of math. And for example, as I was talking about, and you may ask why the hell he is doing this. Well, I will explain shortly. Here it is. Calculations use combat potentials. They also these are models which have those data, this critical data sets, which, for example, NATO armies do not have, plugged into these models, which themselves are morphing completely into more perfect, if you wish, things which allow you to plan operations and, continue with the serious wars, which require an enormous sustained application of force. And yeah, it's just tables, but here is the one of the foundations of it, which is, of course, it's essentially obviously Lanchester Ossipov model, but greatly expanded, and then of course calculated for the replenishment of the forces, reserves, if you wish. How you calculate attrition. That's what Russians do. And if you think that I'm playing with you, here it is. This is daily news now. This is the situation with the front line yesterday. When Mr. Putin and Mr. Trump have been meeting each other, as you can see yourself there, there is a slight increase of Russians, killing more Ukrainian forces along the whole front line. Then if we go to the 2 days or 3 days ago to our good friend Marat Khairulin and Colonel Popov, as you can see yourself, this is how the collapse of the front looks like. It's not really collapse, it's essentially breaking through. And as you can see yourself, just by the scale of those orange things, yeah, Russians are not in rush, and that's the whole point. As all of those media in the West, I mean, their butt hurt is amazing. It's more than tangible. It's just literally the atmosphere is electric with the butt hurt of all those scumbags who work in the U.S. And Western general media. But so they cannot take it. They do not understand what war is, and as a result, they continue to come up with all kinds of the BS and, trying to represent things which are not really there. But here it is. We have now European Council, oh my God, statement. Statement by President Macron, Prime Minister Meloni, Chancellor Merz, Prime Minister Starmer, President Stubb, Prime Minister Tusk, President Costa, President von der Leyen. Early this morning, President Trump debriefed us on the President Zelensky and the President Zelensky following his meeting with Russian President in Alaska. And so leaders welcomed, and as President said, Trump, there is no deal until there is a deal as envisioned by President Trump. Well, there is. Russian special military operation continues. The full political aims of the special military operations will be achieved. Zelensky regime will be basically annihilated. And so what can I say? I mean, there's nothing really to say more. And Trump evidently kind of gets it. Evidently, just by the look of it. And now we have the kind of first type of leaks, if you wish, getting into the public sphere. And, they confirm what many of us, Barry Johnson, Daniel Davis, even Doug McGregor, me, Ray McGovern, many, Scott Ritter have been saying all along. I mean, that, it's correlation of forces and means. And this what is defining the dynamics of the front and the dynamics of the annihilation of already basically, depleted Ukrainian forces. And fact is, there is a new method, as a matter of fact. If before that Ukrainians were providing their coordinates of the recruiting centers, which tells you how much they want to fight now, they don't. And so that was one thing. So Russians were sending, Mr. Iskander or Geraniums to visit those recruiting centers. Now, Ukrainian army, very many in Ukrainian armed forces are sending the exact coordinates of the strong points on the front. So for Russians, there is no necessity. Well, obviously they still use all kinds of the means of the objective control to develop the information and targeting on those things. But now Russians know the precise coordinates very often of those strong points. And then, of course, as you might expect, as you can see yourself, there are all kinds of the means of fire impact, delivering the gifts, the presents, and that's pretty much it. And that's how, as I already stated, collapse of the front looks like, and it will continue. They will try to counterattack here and there, and they will continue to do what they were doing all along, basically terrorist activity, attacking Russian civilians. That's what they do. They're really good at it. So, and but what can I say? We have New York Times now, even, that it's, oh my gosh, this is very kind of indicative. So, live updates. Trump backs plan to cede land for peace in Ukraine. Yeah, that's basically Russians already stated, but it's not ceding the land. It's about the thing which I repeat non-stop, and it doesn't matter what some cretin from US media tells you, or let alone from British media, because I think that anybody who works in British media, they are already born with compulsive liars and well, assholes, let's put it this way. So, and the question here is that after meeting the Russian president, President Trump told European leaders he now favors giving up on unoccupied Ukrainian land to Russia to end the fighting, a concession Ukraine has long opposed. Of course, and again, it's not just some gestures or goodwill things. No, it's all about the COFM and how it shapes the battlefield. And here we have, so there we go, live updates. Trump backs off ceasefire demand in Ukraine war, aligning with Putin. Well, what do you expect? I mean, I am on record. Trump obviously failed to recognize at some point of time that he can do anything about special military operation. And you remember 24 hours he will finish the war, then whatever months, then 100 days. Now we are, 8 months of his administration. But he understood, and evidently somebody told him that actually, yeah, there's nothing United States can do. So United States might as well, if you cannot beat them, you might as well join them. And this is exactly what is happening. And that is why European media and European losers are going bananas. And what can I say? Well, good. I enjoy it. I would lie if I wouldn't tell you that I would tell you that I don't enjoy it. Absolutely. I have a day, a time of my life of eating popcorn, drinking Jack Daniels, and observing how those people imploding mentally and morally. Moral, they never had morals, but I mean, at least, the mentally. And finally, we can say, yeah, this is asylum. Europe, you are done. Go die. I mean, that's what it is. Because obviously, we already begin to hear some things which are coming out of those meetings between groups of Americans and Russians in Anchorage, which are about economic cooperation, and for example of what I've been talking about and you can go to my blog and just put the Arctic in the search engine there on my blog site, and you will read everything you need to know. For years I was saying United States will need Russia in Arctic. It's simple as that, because of those things, This is the only nuclear-powered icebreaker fleet, and obviously to develop those very many goodies. I mean, there's even in a relatively limited Arctic sector of the United States, it's still a lot of good stuff there. So, and Arctic was stated, and interest in Arctic was stated during the press conference of Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin. And what can I say? There is nothing more to add. I mean, nothing changed. Everything continues, but this time under a very different framework, under very different, how to put it politely, moral and emotional climate, if you wish. And so if, as I already stated, I enjoy every single moment of this looking at the reaction of the European Union and European Commission with those people who killed their own civilization. Well, what can I say? I mean, I didn't vote for them. I voted for Trump. And so now we have the situation which definitely changed. As I already stated, the emotional background changed dramatically. And suddenly, Vladimir Putin makes this critical statement, which of course plays into Trump's hands hugely. We all say that, yes, it is true that it was on Trump's first administration, obviously, when he wasn't in control of his administration in his first term, that essentially it was on his watch when the arming of Ukraine and preparation for the war started in earnest. And that is why I always say it is his war. It is. And but Vladimir Putin stated during the press conference this critical thing, which we have to keep in mind in order to understand what is at stake and what kind of the game or play, if you wish, is being played. It's the fact that he stated that not even naming Biden and his administration, bunch of war criminals and corrupted officials who just basically, well, helped to destroy the United States, ran it into the ground. He correctly stated that if Trump would have been in place, there would have been no war. And he probably has a point on that. Yeah, Trump wouldn't allow the level of the provocation, which even under his, suppressed conditions in the first term, that it would basically bring about special military operation. It was Biden and Biden bunch of war criminals and criminals against humanity who actually brought the match, which actually lit the whole damn thing. And that's what has to be kept in mind. And as a result, so I want to tell you, man, I mean, the amount of the butthurt is just unbelievable. And I want to point out one very serious thing here. While we talk about all those, issues of the grand politics and things of this nature, you have to keep in mind that people like this will continue to, they are not experts. There are no experts in United Kingdom of Russia or war, or for that matter. This is Guardian from a couple of days ago. And this is the guy who talks about the troop shortages and the sheer lengths of the active front line at more than 600 miles long. Well, actually it's way more than 600 miles, but okay. It means that the point of contact is not continuously held. Instead, it is made of a series of foxholes that Russian attackers seek to sneak past using small, lightly armed deep reconnaissance group. An intense Russian effort to achieve drone superiority in the sector, oh god, since early May has made it more difficult for Ukraine to repay the infiltrators, according to Sam Crany-Evans, a military analyst with the Royal United Service Institute think tank. So, I mean, yeah, okay, he watches news and he pretends to be some kind of the expert. Let me give you the, oh good lord, let me give you the background of this expert, okay? This is why West found itself where it is. Yeah, look at this. Russia, Royal United Services Institute, Associate Fellow. There are no real serious professionals there, but still, look at this. Sam Crany-Evans was a research analyst at Russia in C4ISR between October 21 and December 22. So he writes about all kinds of things about war, and look at this. Alongside, he contributed to the Jane's News, one of the most corrupt publications nowadays, not unlike it was 100 years ago when it was a respectable one, and publications, and assisted with or wrote more than 500 news articles during his time with the company. His research has included the development and modernization of China's People Liberation Army, artillery tactics in Ukraine, and Russia's concept of escalation management. So the guy who has zero military background and doesn't have any tool toolkit to do this? Here it is. Sam has a degree in war studies from University of Kent, where he graduated with first-class honors in 2012, having written a dissertation on the morale of the Russian population during the Second World War. His studies included conflicts throughout history from Punic Wars to the Falklands. So in other words, another humanities dude who has no clue actually what is going on, what is at stake here, and how it is being driven to some, political and operational and strategic ends. These are the people. These are the people. This is who they are. These are the people who have been slapped in the face yesterday, when actually what happened, which all of us, people with the serious military and intel background stated, nothing gonna change. And now they're counting, it was the triumph for this or that. Larry Johnson is absolutely correct. It was the basically huge slap into the face of the people who corrupted and own America, neocons. These are stupid people that do not understand war. None of them, including those officers, those, I graduated, something, I was in Afghanistan. Those guys have no clue what they're dealing with. So, but yeah, if you look attentively at the Institute for the Study of War, this is Kagan's clan, Victoria Nuland, rings the bell. She is one of those people, together with John McCain, who were the ones who actually initiated the coup d'etat in Kiev. So these are the people. They have no clue. And read my lips, I will just merely repeat that, what can I say? There are no Russian experts anywhere near levels of power or influence in Washington, D.C. Period. Apart from the fact that most of them are militarily and technologically amateurs. They do not understand operational, technical, technological dimension of war, and they still believe in all those fairy tales. This is the final result. And actually, in this case, you can say that, there are, as you might expect, there are all kinds of people who write about that, Putin is triumphant and you cannot bribe him. Can you imagine? You cannot bribe the guy. Sure, you can bribe or buy any kind of politician in the West easily. Just give me the price. Yeah, and Putin is not bought. You cannot buy the guy. You cannot buy the other people who surrounding him. But that's the concept which is absolutely alien to all those people from all those the Times of London or New York Times or Wall Street Journal. It's the same as it goes for US Congress. They are all for sale. Practically most of them. It's just a matter of the price tag. And so that is why for them, they continue to judge those things within this perverted, very narrow American or Western or NATO, what have you, view of the world, which is obsolete. It has been obsolete after the World War II. But what can I say? I try to do my little teeny-weeny thing, to help people understand. And many people, I'm not lying, there are many who who come to me and write to me and say, how did you know this? It's easy. You just have to change your focus from BS and media circus, which has nothing to do with the reality, which is a complete PR manipulation and kabuki theater, because that's the only thing which combined West nowadays can do. And switch it to the tangibles, to actual tangibles, which basically some people in the United States write very and speak very, serious, thoughtful things about that. They will not be allowed anywhere near to the levers of power. Levers of power in the West are occupied by nincompoops, corrupt, immoral people. And as the result, Mr. Trump, give him a credit in this particular case. The way thing went in Anchorage, Alaska yesterday, and the fact that he admitted that, we didn't get the deal. Of course, you're not going to get the deal. You're not going to get ceasefire. It's just classic war. It's a real war. And Russians do not compromise on the issues of their national security, and they will finish the deal. Well, basically, they finish the deal. As everybody knows, Russian demands, they are very clear. And now, what can I say? Europe can go and, die. And they probably deserve it. Russia and United States, they're not going to be obviously friends, but they can cooperate. And that's important. And again, as I stated, Arctic, space, There are so many things. Development of the resources. Oh my gosh, guys, you cannot imagine. These are trillions worth of profits and wealth, real wealth, not all those numbers created in the Wall Street. This is what it really matters in this particular case. And this is what I wanted to tell you today. And go read the news. So enjoy. So, and as always, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and too. And what can I say? Have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.